So we are starting the day in the round pen. We have to make our round pen bigger, but this is where we got the horses right now. We had to bring them up. Dr. Case is here today, our vet that's been coming to the farm. You've seen him in prior videos, but we know nothing about horses. He knows a lot about horses. So we're gonna ask him some questions, but we're gonna talk about floating their teeth today, also about their general health as we go into the winter months, because again, we know nothing about horses. So hopefully this video will help us, but also you who may be thinking about horses. I will say this, they eat a lot more than any other animal on the farm, so they're a little bit more expensive. Just a little tidbit for you.
I burned out like a wandering ember. I shone bright, then my journey was over. What I sought when I ran was back where I began. No matter the rain, no matter the storm, I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Leave open the gate, don't turn off the light, I'm coming home.
Said we needed floating, and the reason being that you checked her and realized her teeth in the back are.
She's got a lot of points in there, so we're going to take them and we're going to check them again when I go in here. Okay. See, a horse's jaw, the bottom jaw is narrower than the top jaw. Okay. So their teeth all through their life continuously to erupt. So they have to wear them down. So that's why if they're out in the pasture eating a lot, they wear them down, they're pretty good. You put them in a stall and you only feed them twice a day. Right. They don't wear them down, you gotta probably float them a little more often.
Now that was another question. You see some people raise them in stalls and barns, and you see people raise them on pastures. What's the etiquette on that? What's proper on that?
So it depends on what you're feeding and how much you want to feed. I mean, yeah, some horses never get out there at pasture at all, some stay on pasture. It just has to do with the nutrition. Okay. It's a little tougher sometimes. Raise them in a stall because you gotta have a little better nutrition. Okay, okay. Watch it. Now I gave her some sedation, so she's gonna be a little bit wobbly. Okay. So let me clean out some grasses in here. Okay. So right here where my finger's at, that's a pretty good hook right there. And it's all these points on the side of the teeth. That's what we're going at. You can actually see where it's been cutting into her jaw, her little cheek right there. Okay. And then on the bottom side, it's the opposite. It's on the inside. I'm trying to see this way. Get some little light in there. So she actually, see that big hook on the bottom? She's actually got a wave on the bottom.
Now, the reason we float is because, like you said, she starts kind of going into her own mouth or going into her cheeks. Is that why you actually float the teeth?
Yeah, float their teeth so they can chew and they can grind it the way they need to. Okay, okay, perfect. Watch her just right there. She's little, she's lightweight.
All right.
So another little pet peeve, open-toed shoes around horses is a good way to lose a toe. So,
all right, so you hear that? That means
open-toed shoes around a horse, they'll step on your foot and not mean to.
See, there you go. So now your sister was right putting on boots.
You've actually got a pretty good wave in here. Okay. So we'll even them up. It should help. Okay. And the thing about it, I could feel the front teeth. Right. You know, I can't feel those back. You've got to actually open their mouth.
And that's what this kind of halter is right here, huh?
They don't have, it doesn't hurt their teeth because their teeth, when they're a colt, they've got teeth up to their sinuses. As they grow, that grows out. When they're about 15, that's about all the teeth they've got. Okay. So you want a good mouth going into 15 for the last.
So this is just grinding down that side and that
all the points.
All those points in that round spot.
So it's like this. So I'm gonna do it like this so they can chew better.
Perfect. Okay.
Coming home.
we get on her and we ride her around and she starts getting irritated and won't do what we want her to do, like get off, what would you say?
Well, now don't get off, because they're going to associate being bad to getting off. So it's a learned behavior. So now what works for this horse may not work for the next horse, but you've got to have the buffalo in on them. They've got to realize you're the boss. So you can,
what if it scares you enough where you feel like you're fixing to get off?
So if it's scaring you that bad, that's when you consult a trainer, and maybe she goes and stays with a trainer for 30 days.
And then she won't do it
and
again.
then
we have done better. The last two
she has done better, but when she starts backing up, throwing her rear end around,
and I mean, like I said, as a teenager roping and rodeoing, I would get those sent to me, and then but I was young and dumb. I mean, it didn't matter if I hit the ground. So nowadays I don't bounce. So it's one of those things that, yeah, just do what you can, but don't let them get away with something like that. And I wouldn't go to getting off of them just real easily, because they'll associate, if I back up, she's getting off.
And see, I was thinking with the associated behavior, if she started doing that, to bring her in here and literally work her, that if she kept thinking, well,
but he said she doesn't understand.
She doesn't understand punishment. You can work her, and that will reset her mentally, and then you can get back. But you have to get back on her. Do not work her and stop.
And then stop.
Yeah.
But he did say what we were doing the other day, where we just kept going back and trying to make her to keep doing that, and just you may take 30-minute break and then try to do it again.
She's done.
All right, we're gonna take her back and then we'll look over Bella. This light sedation, she'll come out of it. The best thing to do is walk around.
Let her walk around.
And that'll break it.
Yeah, I don't like to hold them up. I don't like to time.
Right. With
that sedation, if you push on them,
you're right,
they're gonna lean on you a lot.
Okay.
So see that? Just a little bit of, so just let her be calm.
So I know the age-old discussion is, can you feed a horse a round bell or not?
So here's my deal with the round bell. If you have plenty of grass, you can put a round bell out. They'll push around and eat to the middle of it where it's good. Now, if it's dirt and all they have to eat is the round bell, and then they eat the good out of the middle, they will eat the moldy bad part. So you have to be really careful when you do it that way.
And because of
because they're a hindgut fermenter, so this big cecum. A horse is used, you need to keep it standard.
Okay.
So if anything that changes will cause them to colic, and you worry about that mold and everything causes them to colic and stuff.
So like an animal, you would want to, if you are changing food or they're going to a different place, you need to gradually do it.
Gradually over about 3 to 4 weeks with a horse. A horse is pretty sensitive. A horse is one of those things that if you just go out there one day and look at them, they liable to colic. I mean, it's just one of those things that happens. If I see 10 colics, 9 colics is just a little gas colic, tube, oil, a little banamine, and they're okay. Every now and then that one comes around that it's surgical and it's a twist or something, and that's when you have to be too up.
Now, one more question. I know we talked about the people raising them in barns versus grass. Now, a horse I've seen, they will eat and eat and eat grass. However, the people that raise them in barns, they may be scooping 1 or 2 scoops in the morning, 1 or 2 scoops in the afternoon. What's the difference there?
So the difference is just they're having it, so you're feeding a concentrated feed with more protein and fat and everything, and everything just once or twice a day, whereas they're constantly eating, but it's not as high protein, not high, so they have to eat more of this to maintain. But that's actually better for them, because the more they eat, the more they grind their teeth, the less they have to float. So it's one of those things that the more grass and hay a horse can eat, the better off you are. Usually the ones that are in the stall are these horses that are trying, barrel horses, roping horses that are really being pushed. They're trying to shave 2/10 a second off the barrel.
Right.
So it's kind of like what I eat versus what Usain Bolt eats.
Yeah.
So his diet is totally different. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So they're trying to push that athletic on them.
Okay. Sensitizing a horse. Now, she's not, what's so funny is this horse was more terrified of the turkey and the pig than she was cow and sheep. So on those kind of situations, you just need to maybe halter them, walk them beside her.
Yeah, slowly do that. Now, some horses some horses are always going to be a little bit scared of something.
Right.
So you just gotta watch that.
Okay.
Like I've seen some horses that they bring a horse and they've got a donkey out in the pasture and they run the other way. They don't know what to do.
Now, is she as bad as the other one is?
She's got some points. She doesn't have a wave. Okay. So she's not as bad. But she's got a point on the bottom lobe. Depends on how old they are. Like young horses, their teeth are real soft.
Okay.
So have to float real often. Older horses, if you can get them pretty good, they're pretty good for a while.
Good. And their teeth do go back a long ways, don't they? Oh, God.
Yeah, so their teeth, how about here?
It's crazy.
See if you can get this right here. Let me see if I can see those points right here. That's a pretty good, that's what we're going to grind down.
This is just a common drill, of course, but
yeah, and it's made by it's a power float. So
cool.
that's a diamond wheel right there, and so you just grind it down.
Wow. I mean, it didn't affect them at all. I mean, I know you had a little sedation on, but they never really.
No,
they didn't affect them at all.
As long as you don't get into the soft tissue.
Yeah,
and stuff,
definitely.
You know where to go and
She's standing a little bit better than old Rose was.
They make all different types of float. They've got hand floats. They've got rotary floats. They've got a wand.
That's just your go-to there,
This is the one that's works for me out on the farm the best.
What you're doing is taking the points off and just squaring it off so they have an even bite.
So they have an even bite, so it doesn't hurt when it gets into the jaw or into their tongue.
Okay.
Okay, you
Let's try to go back to our pasture there, Bella.
So that's the old float or hand float we used to use, and you would.
Dude, you would have some monster forearms and biceps.
So it still works you out using that, but
yeah,
this is you always say wanted good sharp floats when you're in there doing it, but that's the old type of float.
Now you would rather not have to use that if you have that power, huh?
We're going to just use that. We'll reschedule and do it when we have that available.
We talk about cows. Cows, I really don't change any regimen other than just giving them hay in the winter. You know, people always talk about putting your horses up in a barn for winter, or putting the blankets on them. Give me your thoughts on wintering a horse.
So wintering a horse in Mississippi is not too difficult. And obviously wintering a horse in South Dakota would be a lot
different. Yeah.
So really in Mississippi, if you've just got them a little lean-to or something they can get out of the wind, you're going to be fine. If you've got a stall and want to put a blanket on them, that's fine too. I don't like leaving a horse outside in a pasture with a blanket. You can if you're there watching them, but if they get hung up or something like that, I always worry about that.
Same way with a halter. You said earlier,
halter.
Never leave a
halter on there, just because I've had to cut them out before because they get into their head.
Yeah.
So I always take the halter out. Other than that, you know, just a lean-to, make sure they can get out. And that's the couple of months that's really bitter cold is all it is.
So I know I try to get these horses to stop eating because they're eating all my food, whereas a cow, they'll lay down. So a horse is not laying down, and you said it's okay for them to graze. So how can they just stand up and sleep? Or, you know, I like to see them roll, but that's about it.
So a horse actually has what they call a stay apparatus. So it has this notch that it can actually lock its patella up and take all the pressure off its muscles. So they can lock it and they can just stand there, and it's like you stand up all day, you're going to get fatigued and you're going to start. They can actually lock their patella and it takes a lot of the pressure off. Now some horses it's preference too. Some horses you'll see lay down more than others, and it's just what they like to do. But as far as them standing up all the time and they never lay down, you don't have to worry about that.
Wow, I've seen them one time lay down. Other than that, they've stood up and stood all in the pastures and graze and eat all my grass.
Yeah, and that's kind of what they're supposed to do. They want to eat grass. And the other thing is, if you want to knock the grass down and get square bales of hay, something of that nature, they'll probably eat a little more of that. And like I said, they've got stuff to eat out there, so they're not pushing in there and getting that good hay in that round bale.
Okay.
If they didn't have anything to eat, they're going to start pushing up in there to eat.
So if I wanted to conserve grass, that's when you say, hey, throw a few flakes out, put them in a smaller area, maybe.
Smaller area, you can put some flakes out. Just realize, whatever you do, just make sure you do it slowly and over, a little bit of time.
Okay, perfect.